What's going on, guys? Hope you're all doing well. I didn't expect to do another Oboro video, but looking back, I did one 6 months ago, right here. I did one 5 months ago, right here. 4 months ago, right there. 3 months ago, and 2 months ago. 7 months ago. I've done one every month for the past 7 months, maybe even more. So that tells me that it's time for another Oboro video. But actually, the reason why I'm doing it is because I've been asked several times, does Oboro still work? Some people asked me, hey, I just got a 6-star soul for Oboro. Does she still work in Hydra? And the answer is yes. And though I've changed my strategy quite a bit, well, a little bit. So you're not going to be seeing damage like this anymore. And I'm not going to be using this type of team setup because now, instead of sinking tons of damage into decapitated heads, hitting them for millions of damage with Turvold, it's just not nearly that simple anymore. It's just a little bit different. And I'm opting for a much safer run to get me through all the 1,000 turns full auto. Full auto is the key here. If you're doing it manual, you can possibly use teams like this because you can babysit it. I don't want to babysit my team, but this team was good. The team I'm currently using is this one right here. So what happens in this, and the reason why I'm not using so much ally attack and like Turvold, just those big smacks, is because on full auto, Padrig or Mikage are very likely to sink damage into the Serpent Will heads. This is 100% damage reduction. And if you're using Turvold, single target champion, he is going to be sinking what could have been 1,000,000 damage, is then going to be 0 damage into these heads that have the 100% damage reduction. So instead, what I'm going with is a team that has Leech, so essentially a lifesteal set. We're going to heal whenever we hit. We have Inquisitor Shamael to cleanse the fears. I'm not relying on Padrig and Mikage anymore because the Head of Torment is going to be up a lot. It's going to be a nuisance to deal with, and I need to make sure all my champions are functional all the time. So Inquisitor Shamael is very important. Lydia for the decreased defense and weaken, but also the strengthen. It's a very, very big help. Wukong is actually incredible. Honestly, I think he's pretty much needed. What he brings is an A3 ability that removes all their buffs and places block debuffs, which is so helpful in those times where the Head of Wrath places increased attack, places reflect damage, either from the Head of Suffering or the Head of Wrath, and then your team can easily wreck itself. We have a lot of damage coming out. So Oboro or Inquisitor Shamael killing himself is a possibility. So Wukong, if he dies, not a big deal because he's just going to come back to life very soon anyways. This team has no res champion. Now Necmo, bringing the Leech, bringing the decreased attack, bringing essentially the speed boost, the decreased speed, so that we get more turns. We can actually get to the 1,000 turn count relatively easily. And we end up finishing this run out with 368 million damage, which I'm more than happy with. However, there's a small little issue. When I was looking at my champions placing Hex, I realized that my Necmo, I don't think he's geared properly. I don't think I need Provoke on him. I think I'd be better off with Hex because my Lydia is not actually keeping up Hex that much. And I need somebody who can constantly apply it because we're cycling through the heads so quickly. So constant application of Hex would be ideal. But as far as the champion build specifically, Lady Mikage is in Relentless. Stoneskin, not relevant for this content, but Relentless is very good. Pick up War Master if you can. It's going to help out a lot as far as keeping our HP up higher. But these are her stats. I'll go through the champion builds and then we'll talk about a little small details. Actually, really, is there that many more details? I don't think there is. It's relatively simple. Like, it was just, like, I walked away. I wasn't paying attention to it. When I did glance at it, though, to be fair, I saw that the Head of Wrath had reflect damage, and I wanted to intervene, but I was like, nope, I can't touch it. I got to stay away from it. I can't intervene. This has to be 100% full auto because that's just the way I'm going to be running Hydra. Really, from here on out, the changes were pretty impactful. I don't feel like jumping in here and do it manual. I'm just going to do them all full auto. That's what I prefer anyways. Makes it much more consistent, easier to get done. The time required for Hydra has dropped quite a bit, which is pretty cool though. For Lydia though, let's go to Hydra battles. We have our 284. Good accuracy. It's really all you need. Good HP. Make sure their HP is solid because they are going to get some hits. However, she has this necklace that I'm not really sure why she has it. She has no other pinpoint pieces, so I'll probably adjust this. If you get Feral, 9-piece, that'd be sick as well. Wait, she's in Provoke and Necmo's in Provoke. Where are my hexes coming from? Who places Hex? What the heck? Do I have another person in this team that I don't... What? If she's in Provoke... No, she's in Hex. What? Okay, she just has a Provoke piece. That stumped me for a second. I'm like, she has to be in Hex or Curse set. We have War Master, though. War Master is very good paired with Leech helps out so much. Nekmo already showed his build. Slayer plus Provoke, he gets more turns. I want to get to the 1,000 turn count. If you go super slow, it's kind of difficult sometimes. It just depends, because then you start getting the big bars of the Devour stuff, and it's kind of hard to free champions. This team, we have 3 champions who can do freeing very good, which is Inquisitor, Shamael, Wukong, and Oboro. All those champions are very consistent, but I still like the speed. I may drop him out of Slayer set so he gets a little bit less turns, but right now I like it and it's working well for me. So that's Nekmo's build. And his stats, let's look at it in Hydra specifically. If you have revenge accessories, pick them up. They're great. They're always helpful. Just get some counterattacks, some extra decrease attacks. It's very solid. We have good accuracy. Resistance doesn't really matter. For Oboro, we'll talk about her last. Actually, Oboro and Wukong last. Inquisitor Shamael, he could use some accuracy. His A1 could reduce the duration of random buffs, but some Wukong stripping, so not really needed. I have him in a Blood Shield ring for that shield, so he could take the Head of Mischief and actually resist it. We have extra buffs, all that kind of stuff. Maybe he gets hit, maybe not. But other than that, he has good crit damage. We don't need any defense ignore sets. We're going to have 100% defense ignore anyways. So just pump out some damage on him, and he's going to do pretty good for you. He's a great champion to go ahead and free some champions if they get eaten. So Inquisitor Shamael also cleansing the fears, basically required if you want a team to be, smooth and consistent. Especially with no res champion, a fear can quite easily just ruin your entire run. Up next is Sun Wukong. Now my Sun Wukong is built for damage. However, he's very fast as well. If you're going to use Sun Wukong, I would probably go for speed and accuracy and try to get as much damage as possible. But I would sacrifice some damage in trading off for more speed and accuracy. Because what this allows him to do is it allows him to cycle around to do the A3 ability as often as possible, which is massive. There were so many times where Oboro was 1 turn away from just killing herself, but because Sun Wukong stripped the reflect damage, she didn't do it. Or because he stripped an increased attack before the Head of Wrath did the big smack, prevented anything from actually killing my champions. If you have block buffs, decreased attack on the heads, the chances of you dying are very low. Like, those 2 buffs are just so impactful. Stops reflect damage, stops all those things that these squishy teams just crumple to. So as far as his skills, we have him with Soul Reap, not really needed. I could switch up to a different blessing. Not really sure what's better though, to be honest. So we're just keeping Soul Reap with him. For Masteries, we have Helm Smasher. It's my PvP build Sun Wukong, so that's just what I have. But like I said, prioritize speed and accuracy. Damage is great if you can get it, but don't sacrifice speed and accuracy just to get the damage. I would probably even run a support Wukong over a slow high damage Wukong. He did good damage, so don't get me wrong. He can definitely pack a punch, but you got to balance that out and find the happy medium for you. For Oboro, I'm going for 9-piece Slayer, even if it's a little bit of a stat drop. Thankfully, my Slayer gear is actually pretty good, and I have a solid built Oboro. This could be better, but I'm going to take a little bit less damage. Defense ring, not great, but hey, it's all I really got. But I want this because it has a chance to duplicate the damage, which is huge. Whenever she's doing so many AoE attacks, a 30% chance to deal additional AoE damage is massive. So even if you're losing a good chunk of attack or a good chunk of crit damage, it's going to work out best in the end to go ahead and get the 9 pieces of Slayer on her. As far as her specific pieces go, she has some pretty solid stuff. I just don't move it around because she's using this team forever. For her blessings, I actually have Nature's Wrath. And I'm not 100% certain which is better, Nature's Wrath or Crushing Rend. I can say that if you don't have enough accuracy, you do have Mikage in the lead, so we will have some extra accuracy built in. But if you don't have enough accuracy to place this decreased defense, then I wouldn't go Nature's Wrath. But if you do have enough accuracy, this may squeeze out some more damage. Maybe I test it next week, but to be honest, I switch it back and forth. I'm not for sure if I notice a huge difference. If you've tested it, let me know. But I believe Nature's Wrath probably does a little bit more, but maybe it depends on your stats. If your stats are higher, maybe Nature's Wrath boosting your damage by X% makes you do more damage overall, versus if you have like 5,000 attack and 300 crit damage. That may be where the difference happens. Maybe there's like a specific number threshold where Nature's Wrath is better than Crushing Rend. I'm not going to do the math for that. I have no clue what it is, but these both work out great. So pick one and go with that. Now, if you're anything below 6-star, I would say go for Nature's Wrath, because Crushing Rend is really only impactful at 6-star, but Nature's Wrath is solid at 5-star as well. Nature's Wrath is required to be 6-star, just because anything below that, you only get the damage reduction from that first hit, and then past that, it's just nothing. So for our masteries, we have extra defense ignore. This gets me closer to the 100% defense ignore, though granted, we're never going to reach that without crushing Rend, which seems to be okay. She still smacks pretty daggone hard, especially those decapitated heads. Like, they're dying, no problem. This was a hit from her, 572,000 damage, and 686,000 over there, so she's hitting for a lot. We're not really worried about squeezing more damage from her. She's not having any issues whatsoever. Inquisitor Shamael, I already talked about him. So those are the champions. As far as the presets go in the fights, let's check this out real quick. You can use, like I said, you can use other champions and other teams for this. But this is what I've opted for versus the Padrig Krisk build, because this seems safe and smooth. And that's what I really like, honestly. Having the leech on champions who deal good damage across the board is just so helpful. So Nekmo, some Wukong, number 1 priority on the A3. It doesn't hit as hard, but it's completely game-changing. What does that cooldown on 3 turn? Yeah. Lydia, number 1 on their A2. Oboro, turn off the A2 and the A3. You could maybe leave on one of them, but if you do, just remember that she's going to have extra buffs, so she may get targeted by the Head of Mischief. Well, she will get targeted by the Head of Mischief. Technically, you could build her with some resistance if you wanted and make her Mischief tank as well. It's a possibility. And then Inquisitor Shamael, just using priority on the A2 ability. Now, out of curiosity, I want to see if there are any other Oboro teams used currently that have maybe done some more damage. Make sure my game's not going to leak any information that I don't want it to when I'm opening this up. Raid process initializing. Here we go. And okay, we're fine. So come over to the Hellhaze website, Team Optimizer, Rotation 2, Brutal, exclude manual teams. I doubt mine's the top, yeah, because it's actually pretty impressive damage, 380,000. What did I do? I did pretty close to that, didn't I? Like 360? Yeah, 368. I could squeeze out more for sure if I got Nekmo into Cursed. He'd be a much better option than Lydia in Cursed. But as far as the damage dealt, let's see. My team's not on here yet, apparently. Are we on rotation 2 still? Or are we on rotation 3? Rotation 2 for 1 more week. Awesome. Oh, I didn't have the optimizer open. That's why I didn't show. But exclude manual team. Let's see. Includes Oboro. That is why it's not showing. So yes, Oboro still works out and it works out fantastic. This is a solid team. I want to see if anything else has good potential. This is actually very close to the team I just ran. Instead of Archer, we have Lydia. Decreased defense and weaken is huge. It's going to boost everybody's damage up quite a bit. So something worth considering there. If you didn't have Lydia, I would consider going like Venus or even just a weaken champion. So if you have a champion who can do an AoE weaken, that would be as good. Oboro, if you can make her spread that decreased defense, it's going to be fantastic. But you want to make sure you have somebody with weaken AoE. Ideally, if you could make it to where the person with weaken AoE also brings other debuffs, that would be great as well. Like Sissia. Granted, she could be very weak. She may just die. She may just die. She has relatively low HP. You could build her differently, of course, but she could add some good damage. Maybe I'll try her next week. It's just a little more difficult because she is conditional on the decreased defense, I guess. Okay, just places weaken on everybody. So she is an affinity, which makes it a little bit more RNG, but not too bad. Cantra possibly could even work. She brings a weaken in there. It's a little bit more RNG, but possibly, definitely possibly could work. But anybody who brings extra debuffs, Newt could be solid, honestly. A weaken AoE, decreased attack. The more debuffs you have, the better the chance of Oboro doing that AoE skill and placing the decreased defense on everybody. So you don't need Lydia. She can be replaced. Wukong, super, super important. Nekmo could possibly be replaced by Eostrid. Where is she? Sylvan Watcher? I don't have her, so I can't test that, unfortunately. But she does some heals, just not as much. But whenever the target is in, the turn meter is increased, it heals all allies based on their max HP. So she does bring some good heals, so possibly able to be swapped in. She brings a weaken AoE as well. Something worth considering there if you don't have Nekmo. So you maybe will use her. You just got to be mindful about how much survivability your team has and how much they're able to bounce back from being taken to 50% HP, because you want to recover quickly. Nekmo's really good. Eostrid doesn't bring a decreased attack AoE though, right? Which is something you would want to bring. It makes a huge difference. You don't get one shot as easily if you have the decreased attack AoE skill. With that said, if you're going to swap Eostra for Necmo, you could go in Lydia's spot and look for a champion who brings a decreased attack. You could use somebody like Wixwell, honestly. Extra increased defense, extra shield. So, I mean, there's a lot of different champions you could use in this, and still works really, really well. Michinaki, maybe. Could even use him. Krisk, Uko, for res. So, just try to fill out these champion roles. Understand why champion's in which spot. Essentially, Necmo is basically for heals. Mikage is for the ally. Mikage, you have to have these two. Mikage plus Oboro, it's where the team functions, basically. So you need those two. Her A1 makes Oboro join, all that kind of good stuff. So Mikage, Oboro. The replacements would be Necmo and Lydia. Inquisitor Shamael could be adjusted. Not so much for full auto stuff, though. And then Wukong, I think, is very much just, you got to use him. If you don't use him, it's probably going to make things more difficult. You could. It's just you're looking for champions who bring block buffs. And that's not a very common debuff, especially with like strips. Now, Crixia could do it. Maybe I just throw my Crixia in here instead. But she doesn't. Well, she does strip on her A3. But having a strip plus the block buffs on the same skill is even better. This could be kind of cool, but I don't think I need this. Decreased resistance and block buffs. Also decrease the turn meter. Yeah, I don't think we need to use Crixia. That could be neat. But either way, guys, thank you for watching. Best of luck if you go in here and start building this out. Hope you all get something working well for you. But the answer to does Oboro still work is absolutely. She's awesome. She still works well. You build a team safe. It's full auto, no problem. But if you try to go crazy like Turvil, pushing high damage, you're going to have to babysit it. Like, there's really no way around that, because the AI is going to sink damage into the Serpent's Will. The AI is going to target things weird. You're going to just not do as much damage as you would like. So definitely be mindful if you go with those heavy single target champions. We don't always take these heads down, apparently. Maybe we do, actually. Let's see. So Wukong would be good if he smacked that head. But you could easily push this to 400 million damage. Just with this team, if I manualed it, could easily go to 400 million. The reason why 400 million is nice is because it maxes out those Hydra chests. Which, speaking of, let's actually go collect those Hydra chests. Let's see if he ever finishes this attack. If he hits this head right here. There we go. Bust that head. Boom. Okay, yeah. See, they're just smacking the live heads versus the dead head over there. Which is why Mikage is so good with having Oboro join in. And you would make sure everybody has 5 debuffs all the time. We free champions, no problem, though. Let's claim this stuff and then get out of here. So, come over here, Hydra Clash. Let's see what we get. I would love to have a Barbarian accuracy banner with speed. Would be pretty cool. High Elves, these are all 5-star stuff, though. I don't really need 5-star stuff. I want 6-star stuff. 6-star Orc Ring, 6-star Dwarf Amulet. Don't really need no dwarf stuff, honestly, I don't think. I don't think I have any dwarves that are worth bringing in any content. I'll probably sell most of this stuff, but hey, protection's always good to work in a 9-piece protection, which, speaking of, my Duchess got 9-piece protection, so I'm going to run this team, which I did a video on last week if you want to check that out. But guys, thank you all very much for watching. Hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one.